Hello, my name is Rebecca Tilley, and I have a business in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's called Tilley's Tie-Dye Art. Here's my card: Tilley's Custom Tie-Dye Clothing and Apparel, 3106 Mason Drive, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and my phone number is listed here. It's 423-316-6516. And I got my apron and I wrote how you can reach me on Facebook, and you've got to go to the search bar on Facebook and put the @ symbol, capital TILLEYSTIEDYEART. So today I've decided to show you all how to rinse and do the last steps on the reverse tie-dye. So I've got some things here I did the reverse tie-dye on, and I'll show you those things right here. I actually used the steps in the front of my home to do the rinsing process. I make sure that they're clean, that I scrub them on a regular basis, so it's free of any dirt or anything that's going to make the tie-dye clothing and things look bad, or I don't want any dirt. I don't want them to be nasty, so I keep these steps scrubbed on a regular basis. But anyhow, and I always do it before I do the rinsing process. But I like these, some people on their YouTube videos will use, they'll just use the concrete ground outside their house and throw it on the ground. And I just prefer this more because something that's ground level is going to, from time to time, get dirt on it. And you can clean the steps easier. So anyhow, I just wanted to let you all know I use the Out White Bright rather than bleach, because bleach will eat holes in your fabric and it will wear down the fibers and make the article of clothing or the tapestry or whatever, it'll make it thin out. It will eat at those fibers. And if you're going to use bleach, I would suggest that you always neutralize it with hydrogen peroxide. And what I do is, if I'm using bleach, I will mix 1 part hydrogen peroxide, 9 parts water, and then I will soak the fabric I will soak it in that after I rinse the bleach out, and it kind of neutralizes the bleach so that it won't be actively eating and wearing down the fabric. So anyhow, also with the Out White Bright, you get a much better results. With the bleach, you'll get it'll lighten up the dark areas that you're wanting to lighten up, but it will make it kind of a reddish tone sometimes. And with the Out White Bright, it will actually turn it almost completely white. It will turn it to like a tan color, which is perfectly fine. And that's better if you want to go back in and add color to it with your Procyon dyes. So, which obviously if you have something that's got a reddish color to it, the color is not going to show up as well with the bleach. So you can kind of see how that color stayed in there real well. And anyhow, I believe before you get started, the best thing to do is to fill up a tub like I have. It's just a clear Rubbermaid tote, and I fill it up with water and also some of this Dawn Platinum. You only have to use about 1/4 of it because it's 4 times concentrated Dawn. And with the blue Dawn, it has something called sodium lauryl sulfate in it, and what that does is it helps in addition to the soda ash that you use, it helps to kind of give it a last attempt to make those colors not run or fade, and to help it to bind to the fibers and the natural material that you've dyed. So here's my tote, and I filled it up with soapy water. I used about 2 tablespoons of the Dawn. I should have only used 1, but I got a little crazy with the Cheese Whiz on that. So anyhow, I'm going to turn on my water hose, and I'm going to rinse out these things, and I have to be careful so that they don't fall off the porch. But what I'm doing is I'm basically rinsing off the soda ash from the outside of it. And also, I want to say, I've had these things batching for about 72 hours. Some people batch their items for 24 hours or 48, but I think that it's important to go back every 24 hours and add a little bit more dye, and maybe use a spray bottle to spray the items with soda ash so that that dye continues to remain actively dyeing that product. So here's what I'm doing next. I'm going to take each one of these, and you've got to make sure that what you're doing is you're using, let's see. You're going to give it a good squeeze first of all. And then I'm going to step over here. I'm going to drop these into that. And the reason I also use a clear tote to do this is because I want to be able to see what color that water is changing. And what I was going to say a moment ago is that you don't want to put items that aren't similar in color together in that tote with the soapy water, because what's going to end up happening is that water will turn a really nasty brown, like a rust color, and it'll actually make everything in that tote, whatever color that water becomes, it'll make everything have like that nasty color. It's like a dirty film over everything, and you won't be able to get that out, because really these dyes are still active. So you have to be very careful about doing things like that. But all those colors that I use in these things, were similar in color, so that's okay to do that. But if I had some things that were red and black, I don't want to mix that with things that are yellow in this tote. So I'm going to kind of move these things around like this, and I'm going to move them back and forth and just kind of shake it around. As you can see, some of the colors coming out in the water, and I'm going to squeeze that excess soap and stuff out of it and set it right here. use these and they have dye still left in them, I try not to squeeze them over the tote because I don't want for that color that's coming out of this stuff to get into the tote and do that discoloring all the stuff in here that I was just speaking about a few minutes ago. Another thing, I use my rain boots whenever I'm doing this, because for a while there I used my tennis shoes and I was always having to wash my tennis shoes afterwards and my feet got a little bit smelly in there. Just saying. So I'm going to drop these back in again. One more time. I'm going to make sure that I get all the dye, excess dye and stuff that needs to get out of these. I'm going to make sure I swirl it around real well and get it out of here. I'm getting water in my gloves. And I've also got this right here. I'm going to drop it in here. So what I'm going to do is just swish it around and try to get all the excess soap out of this. I'm sorry, the excess dye. I'm trying to get all the excess dye that's still in here out of here. So sometimes it takes a couple of times, especially if I've got it banded very, very tightly, like I have this banded. And also when I'm dyeing it, I always try to think about saturation. It's very important to be mindful of your saturation, as well as you can see these folds that I made in here. Let me get closer so you can see this. I will actually get the tie-dye, the needle bottle tops of tie-dye bottles, and I will squirt some color down in here to make sure that it gets in these folds that I've made here. So, but that looks, well, still a little bit of color coming out of it. But that's okay, because we're going to do a really good rinsing job in just a moment with this. So, there we go. It's pretty much running clear now. Okay, I think this is the last one. Ooh, there's some color coming out of that one. Do this one more time. Okay. Yep, that's it. Okie doke. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these, so you can kind of see it now a little bit better. I'm going to turn this water back on, and I'm going to rinse these out real well. And I do not see any color actually coming out of these. So really we're just basically making sure that we've got all the soap out of it. But this is still not the final rinse actually, because I still like to do a really great rinse on these things after I disband them. So now I'm going to grab my scissors. It gets hot here in Tennessee, I'll tell you. So now I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to take the bands off of here. And I'll tell you, the worst thing is removing the sinew kite string, or what I use now is better than any of that, I think, because the price is better and you get so much of it, and it works just the same way, I think, as sinew, is the construction string. It's kind of got a waxy texture. It's similar to kite string. It's got a good bit of threads that are kind of binded or braided together. And the construction string is so strong, and it doesn't cost nearly as much as the sinew, whether you get the real deal on the sinew or the artificial sinew. I really like the construction string best because, as you can see right here, it does the same thing as sinew does, but even better than kite string. It makes it to where when you bind it, when you band it, and you put the string around it, you get it real tight, and it will prevent any of the dye going up, under, or through to wherever you put this. So this one wasn't too bad. The other day, actually, I was disbanding something, and it took me a good 30 minutes or even longer to get all of this construction string off of it. Okay, we're done with that. So, I'm going to go ahead and open this up because this is also a tie-dye reveal. And this is, I have found that at Target you can get the Goodfellow brand shirts. They're so much better than Fruit of the Loom and Hanes put together. They are amazing shirts. The color shows up well on them, and you actually get exactly the type of what you're looking for when you use them. So anyhow, this is a Goodfellow extra large V-neck shirt. And I did a reverse tie-dye on this. And also, I need to let you know that whenever I do these shirts, I do them inside out. And the reason why is because whenever you put the color on them, if you make a little stray mark or a mistake with the color, a little splash that you don't want to be on it, usually mistakes don't make it all the way through to the other side. But this turned out absolutely amazing, I think. Wow. And I don't really know what you would call this, but it's like, I make these like how you make a mandala, but I put the string and stuff, I put it on there kind of backwards, and it ends up on the reverse tie-dye looking like a tarantula. I don't really know what you would call this, but it's really beautiful. And I absolutely think this is one of the best that I have ever done. I am really, really proud of it. On the bottom, it looks like kind of a face in the center and like lobster arms on the bottom of it. It's so cool. But I am so, so proud of this one. Okay, moving along. And I still cut the rubber bands that I use. And you've got to be very, very careful not to cut into the fabric. Very, very careful about that. If you make one little hole in t-shirt material, you can forget about it. There is no patching it up. You can't glue it. None of that is going to work. And you don't want, even if, which I sell my tie-dye, the stuff that I make, I sell it to the public. And I do not want a customer coming up to me and giving me a complaint about something they purchased for me because I did a patch job on it. That would be an absolute nightmare. Okay, this is done on an Old Navy classic. It's the like a round neck, scoop neck, women's medium. And I think it turned out gorgeous. It's a cross shirt. And here's the back of it. It's absolutely beautiful. And just to let you know what it's made of. Let's see. It's made of 55% cotton, 38% modal, and 8% spandex. Which, whenever you do tie-dye with the MX cold wash, the Procion dyes like what I use from Jacquard, you want to use natural fibers, because that's what the dyes will react well and bind to the fibers that are in the natural materials. So modal is actually a natural material. I believe it's a type of cotton, if I'm not mistaken. But I know that it is a blend of natural fibers. So I can say that much for a fact. So is rayon. And this here was 55% cotton. I think it said 38% modal and 2 or 4% spandex. So the only thing you have here that isn't natural is, of course, the spandex. But that shirt turned out absolutely great. Very, very proud of that. Okay, so moving right along. Okay. Okay. So anyhow, this is a reverse tie-dye that I did. I think it turned out really cool. I wasn't going for anything too specific. I was just tried to make it my own, kind of, and did my own little spin on this. I think it turned out pretty good. And that's the thing about tie-dye. You can get in there and discover and be creative and discover new little ways that you can do things. But I feel that if you're wanting to learn how to do tie-dye and become really good at it, like I think that I have, or know that I have, I've spent 2 years straight putting every bit of creativity and hard work I had into this art. And I will say that I know that I've gotten good at it. If I felt like it was something that I couldn't do or didn't do well, I definitely wouldn't want to hear negative feedback from the public. So I've worked really hard to get where I'm at with this, and so hopefully, God willing, everything is going to go well. I'll just keep on praying that everything goes extremely well with me attempting to launch this as a business. And I'm not trying to get rich off of it. I'm just would like to make ends meet, at least doing what I thoroughly enjoy. And I know that by making these cross shirts, I'm serving God, and because it glorifies God and Jesus Christ and the fact that He died on the cross for our sins. And it's nice to see people and the joy and happiness they get out of wearing these cross shirts that I make. And it's a reminder to people when they wear those. It humbles them when they see those cross shirts, and helps to remind people that, hey, Jesus died on the cross for my sins, and the people wearing them aren't ashamed to share with others their beliefs or whatever. I mean, we've got people walking around wearing shirts that they're proud of this and proud of that. Well, I think it's cool that people are proud to be Christians and not to be ashamed of being a Christian. There's nothing shameful about it. But I'm not going to go into that because I am happy to serve anyone that would like to purchase a shirt from me. I just think it's great to be proud of who you are, no matter who you are. How about that? I'm not here to judge anyone. Okay. This is a shirt, kind of like a tunic top that I made. And it's made by Isabel Maternity, size extra small. And I did a reverse tie-dye on this. And I think it turned out great. And see, I put the mandala in the bottom of it. Kind of show you how that turned out. Okay, and here's the back of it. And again, there's the front. And that's an extra small size Isabel maternity shirt. It's a tunic top. You would wear it with like tights or whatever, which would be very comfortable for a pregnant lady. Because there's so many, I've been pregnant and there's so many uncomfortable experiences when you're pregnant and you feel like you're as big as a house. So it's nice to wear something that's cute and makes you feel good about yourself. Because I had my days where I felt like I was beautiful and glowing, but most of my days pregnant, I felt like, I was just excited about the having the opportunity to be a mother. But that's another thing I will talk about another day, maybe. Okay. Here is another cross shirt that I made. And this is a Goodfellow & Company, size extra large. And these are 100% cotton. This was black, but I've made it blue and red and all these other nice colors. But anyhow, so there's the cross that I put on it. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's a V-neck. And I love how I made it to where the blue kind of fades into the red and all that. So here it is. And the sleeves on this are absolutely beautiful. I think I did really well with that. Okie doke. So, oh, and another thing is, whenever you're squeezing these, do not squeeze like that. Always grab it firmly, one hand over the top of another, and go like that. Because whenever you twist it, what happens is you will misshape the shirt, and it will bust the seams and all that are in the shirt and the stitching, and it will cause them to look frayed, and it will misshape the entire shirt, and it will look awful. Ooh, this turned out awesome. So this is a Wild Fable size medium black shirt. It's kind of like a midriff shirt. And it's a size medium. And what I did was with this is I took a black shirt that already had the rhinestones and stuff on it. And what I had planned was I tied a I tied a heart into the shirt. But the fabric is so thick that it's hard to see it in there, but you can see it better from here. But it still left a really awesome design in it. And so I put a dark, deep red color from the dye. I put it over where the heart is. And then I added blue and green and purple. And you can kind of see how the color fades into one another. It is really nice. I'm so proud of this one. I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to open up 2 more shirts, and then we'll be done for today.